So I've shown you how to combine D minor and E major triads to get those two really cool, hauntingly beautiful, exotic sounding scales, right? D gypsy minor hexatonic and E Phrygian dominant hexatonic. Now it's going to get even weirder. It's going to get kind of spookier. We're going to alter one note, the A note of the D minor triad. We're going to bring it up a half step to B flat. So now that gives you a B flat triad. And I'll demonstrate this in a minute. You combine B flat and E, B flat major and E major. These two triads are diametrically opposed. They have nothing in common musically. So they kind of make strange musical bedfellows, but it sounds really cool. And this is the kind of thing you hear in movie soundtracks. You know, over the years, I've heard this in like everything from Jurassic Park to all the Batman franchise, all the Batman movies, and you know, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Anytime you have like people trekking across some giant valley with like strange pterodactyls flying overhead, you hear this kind of weird thing. And I call this the Odyssey scale. I'll check it out now. As I stated a minute ago, instead of taking D minor, we're going to raise that A note to B flat. So now we have, which is B flat major. That gives you this, what I call the E Odyssey scale. And here it is, played as alternating triad inversions of E and B flat major. I'm going to do it on the middle, the D, G, and B strings. And here's a low E drone note to put it all in context. Keep going. Come back down. I know the word epic is overused, but damn, it applies here, right? It's an epic sound. And then you can do on the top three strings, E, B flat, E, B flat, E, B flat, E. Keep going. Back down. On the first string group, our melody note was on the D string. So we're taking these. Just the bottom note would give you. That's pretty cool sounding. And then on this string group, the top three strings, the melody is on the top note. So it's. Very sinewy sounding, right? Kind of like the Mizzaloo, you know, the Dick Dale thing, but that's a different entity. This is, I think that's a 7 notes, or maybe even an 8 note scale. So this is really cool. You know, it gives you an instant, like, exotic sound, and it's really neat. The E and B flat triads are a tritone apart. Tritone meaning 3 whole steps. 1, 2, that's 3 whole steps. And then also down from the octave. Here's E, 1, 2, 3 whole steps. So E and B flat, you couldn't get any further apart on the musical circle of fifths, you know? And that kind of reminds you of a song. Right, Jimi Hendrix? So there's some neat stuff you can do with this. Here is a rolling legato sextuplet lick that takes these two arpeggios, combines them. First, before I do that, let me just review theoretically the spelling of the scale. If you start on E and you go to the next chord tone, which is F, which is from the B flat triad, right? You get root, flat 9, flat 2, right there. You're getting your instant exotic, spooky sound. Major, which is kind of oddly bright sounding. Sharp 4, and then your 5. You could call that a flat 5, but I call it a sharp 4 because you don't have a natural 4. And you already have a natural 5, so 1, flat 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, flat 7. Right, that's pretty. Enigmatic sound. So here's that rolling sextuplet exercise I was talking about a minute ago. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You have this first octave. Sounds cool, man. You could just play in one octave, do that all day, right? But then when I transition, notice I put the fingerings in the tab. See, I did a little position shift there. Went from 1, 2, 3, and then index finger. Start off in 6th position. End up in 9th position. You could do that if you want to go down, you can go, or just switch fingers, or a finger slide is just as useful. It's always good to play this way, go up and down, you get expressive finger slides and little noodly hammer-on pull-off type of trills, and that adds to the exotic, the Middle Eastern type of vibe that you're going for. Here's another pattern that works really cool with this scale, this E Odyssey scale, which, by the way, B flat Odyssey scale and the E Odyssey scale are the very same thing. If we start on B flat, make that our root note. The formula is the same. You get root, flat 9, 3, sharp 4, 5, flat 7, 1. That's one advantage of it. With the other hexatonic scales I've shown you thus far, they come in pairs, right? We had D gypsy minor and E Phrygian dominant hexatonic. We had C Lydian hexatonic and D mixed Lydian hexatonic, right? We had D major hexatonic and E minor hexatonic. But by combining E flat and B flat major triads, you get only one. But it's both. So it's both E and B flat Odyssey scale. So that's an important thing to know. So here is this neat kind of pattern. Again. You can go. Get those half-step bends. Anytime you have a half step there, just substitute a bend. You can do that too. Get that kind of Steve Morse vibrato in there. And another thing you can do with this is take more of an arpeggio approach, like we did when we were playing the triads, but do it melodically. This is a kind of a climbing, and it climbs and then it tumbles down. So you start off with, just play the E major triad, alternate picked, B flat, and then we continue, and then we're going to go a little sweep, and then a B flat sweep, E sweep, B flat sweep. So it's those sweeps, E major triad, B flat major triad. You got to anticipate, put your bar, middle finger at the 15th fret, and then E major. You got a bar here, B flat major. You can keep going if you want to go. You just keep going down. But I quit while I was ahead right there. Just, cut it short and sweet.